DocTalk is brought to you by MERCK Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. Today our guest is Oscar. Oscar, you say hello. He's not going to say, he's got stage fright. Anyway, folks, thanks for joining us. This is our 400th episode of DocTalk. And today we're just going to talk about the year in review. And we're going to talk about some things in the beef industry. And we'll talk about a little bit of parrot medicine as well. But anyway, thanks for joining us. More to come right after these messages.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America. A place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
If my calves start healthy and stay healthy, I've got a good shot at making money. That is why I trust Clostrix. It gives my calves the protection they need until their own immune systems kick in.
Calf raisers trust Clostrix colostrum supplements. Clostrix is USDA licensed and proven effective. When your money is on the line, trust Clostrix.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
Closed captioning brought to you by Vet Gun with Amel and new AMA Abamectin Vet Caps, the 1-2 punch against hornfly resistance from AgriLabs.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. I'm here at our new studio and production facility in Silver Lake, Kansas. And we're tickled to death to be in this new facility, and we're thankful to the people of Silver Lake, Kansas who have welcomed us into the community, and it's good to have our own space. But today we're going to reflect. This is our 400th episode. Thank you so much for watching DocTalk. Thank you for continuing to support us. It's been a great ride. It's been a long and a lot of work. Heather, Kelly, the whole crew, all of us, thank you very, very much. But let's talk about a year in review. And I think one of the biggest topics in 2019 has been fake meat, okay? And when we talk about fake meat, there's two types. One is the vegetable or alternative protein, and the other one that people talk about is taking muscle cells and growing them in cell culture. And the first one, when we look at the vegetable proteins, the first thing that comes to mind is vegetable or alternative proteins are regulated by the FDA. Meat, beef, pork, lamb, eggs are regulated by the USDA. So they're not even regulated by the same governmental bodies. The FDA doesn't have the staff to regulate them, and so the one thing we want to ask is that these products be held to the same regulatory state as what beef, pork, other meat products are. The other one is to make sure that consumers are not confused. Consumers need to understand for their own diet and their own nutrition that what they're consuming is either meat or an alternative protein or a vegetable protein, because there are different types of proteins, fatty acids, and different vitamins and minerals that can't be replicated within those. So we don't want, one of the things that we have to be sure and that we have to press USDA or grocers is to make sure that they put vegetables with the produce, that they do not try to confuse the consumer by saying, the consumer thinking that this is meat, because they're not meat, they're vegetables. And so I think that's one of the things that we have to focus on, is to make sure that they're placed in the proper position within grocery stores, not to confuse the consumer. The next thing is that I think the biggest argument on the alternative proteins or vegetable source is that people say they're better for the environment. And I look at people and I say, well, if you truly think cows are bad for the environment, I'd think you'd want us to eat them all. India has the second largest cow herd in the world because they don't eat them. And I don't know what people think they're going to do if we don't eat beef products. I don't think we're going to run around and euthanize or shoot all the cows just for global warming. Matter of fact, it'd have the opposite effect, as what we're learning with carbon sequestration. We need cattle to graze to prevent global warming. And the last one is animal welfare. People say, well, this animal the vegetable burger is better for animal welfare because we don't have to kill cattle. And I'm not going to apologize for doing the chores, breaking ice for cows, for vaccinating, for providing shelter, providing supplemental nutrition for one of God's creatures. I'm going to, and then humanely kill it so that we can consume that beef. I'm sure that when we look at not supplementing, not vaccinating, allowing disease, allowing starvation, allowing wild animals, there'd be a lot more agonal death and a lot worse animal welfare than what we do today. We'll be back right after these messages. Hey folks, Dr. Dan here. Welcome to Cattle First, as sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim Vet Medica. And the term today, biosecurity. Biosecurity is security. It's like having a bouncer that keeps pathogens out and keeps disease out of your herd. One of the best tools you can use for biosecurity is a proper vaccination program, and work with your veterinarian on that. The second one is introduction of new animals. And when we bring new animals on the farm, making sure that if there's a disease that is important that we test for, that we have that done prior to bringing them on the premise. And if they haven't been, then we have a place to quarantine them until we can get the diagnostics back, I think is vitally important. Talking to your neighbors as cattle lean across the fence and communicate with each other, making sure that you have a community-wide biosecurity plan and vaccination plan, vitally important. Keep the disease out, be the bouncer.
When you're in the cattle business, no matter how much it's a business, it still starts with cattle. It's this basic notion that sits at the core of how we approach things at Boehringer Ingelheim. We understand when you put the cattle first, it just naturally leads to doing the right things. If you want to do well in this business, you start by doing right. Take care of the cattle, and they'll take care of you.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here at DocTalk Studio in Silver Lake, Kansas. And when we start to think about, we talk about vegetable alternative proteins, the other type of fake meat that people talk about is they talk about having cell culture, where they take a muscle cell and they place it in a test tube and they grow it in a laboratory. And from what we have understood, the first thing is that if we have these centralized laboratories, I worry about national security. I worry about someone taking out our food supply by just having to look at one or two facilities rather than having cows that are scattered across the United States in different places where we can make sure that we have a constant food supply that is wholesome and nutritious. The other thing is as we learn about these, what people will have you understand is that tissue culture, and again, I'm not against tissue culture and I'm not against alternative proteins. You know, my dad always said, I don't want to hear that you started a fight, but I don't want to hear that you walked away from one. And so what I'm trying to do is defend beef. We didn't start this disparaging comments about others, and I'm for everybody and I'm for capitalism. But what we hear about some of these tissue culture labs is one of the most difficult things to do with tissue culture is to prevent bacterial overgrowth or contamination. Therefore, antibiotics have to be used when we use test tube, when we grow test tube meat. Some of the other things that we have to have is that we have to have fetal calf serum and hormones supplied so that the muscle cells will grow appropriately. And so what it really gets down to is people are trying to replicate what beef is and what bovines produce. They're trying to replicate then how to grow this in an environment when the good Lord in Detroit already designed the perfect technology. It's called a cow. It's something that has its own immune system that can detect a bacterial virus and to heal itself. It's something that we take care of on a day-to-day basis, and it has the physiology, it has the ability to produce its own hormone patterns, to have its own immune system, and it doesn't need to be plugged into the wall. It is something that when we sit there and we think about the technology, the true technology is not the artificial, but it's the real thing. Some of the things that we're going to discuss as we go on today also is the story on antibiotics. And some of the things that we're learning about antibiotic usage in the beef industry are quite different when we look at different types of production practices. One of the things that we're learning is that we don't create antibiotic resistance while the cattle are in the feedlot. We ship antibiotic resistance in bacteria in, and we ship antibiotic resistance in bacteria out, meaning that as we bring cattle into the feedlot, they're going to have bacteria that they bring with them that are resistant to certain bacteria. Then when they ship, that antibiotic resistance leaves with them. So I think that's an important concept, and as we move forward. As we come back, we'll talk more about antibiotics and some of the other issues here on this year-end review.
If my calves start healthy and stay healthy, I've got a good shot at making money. That is why I trust Clostrix. It gives my calves the protection they need until their own immune systems kick in.
Calf raisers trust Colostrix colostrum supplements. Colostrix is USDA licensed and proven effective. When your money is on the line, trust Colostrix.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care, our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
ValleyVet.com, ValleyVet.com, Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here at DocTalk Studios, headquarters, whatever you want to call it, here in Silver Lake, Kansas. But swing by and check us out. You can't miss us. We got the DT DocTalk brand on the side of the building and the Ag AM in Kansas sign there as well. It's been great to grow the business and to share it with you all here on our 400th episode. So when we talk about antibiotics, and I kind of jumped ahead a little bit, but one of the things about antibiotics that we're going to have to do as we move forward is we're going to have to keep track of use within the industries, whether it's the beef industry or the swine industry or the poultry industry. We're going to have to monitor and keep track. And I think that's important so that we can see trends and so that we can better understand how and why we use antibiotics in animal health in our food supply chains. I do think that in the future, use is something that's going to have to decrease, and I think that the answer to that is going to be preventative medicine and preventative husbandry. So all the things that we're going to continue to learn about weaning, about different types of painful practices, how we can improve the welfare of cattle, transportation, anything we can do to reduce stress. Remember, there are two reasons why animals get sick: either an overwhelming dose of a pathogen or a stressed immune system. And so what we need to do is continue to build vaccines to prevent that overwhelming dose of a pathogen, and we need to continue to develop animal husbandry and welfare so that we can decrease the amount of stress in which cattle, pigs, poultry undergo. Other things about antibiotics when it comes to the beef industry is that we need to understand that metaphylactic treatment or use up front has been under some scrutiny, and so has the feeding of antibiotics to entire groups. And what we're starting to learn, and it makes some sense, is that using metaphylaxis or mass treatment up front or feeding feed-grade antibiotics such as Tylenol may actually prevent some of the antibiotic resistance that could happen. And simply the reason is because it prevents animals from getting sick or getting a more severe case of bovine respiratory disease, where we have to use multiple antibiotics or multiple drugs in that case, or it prevents the animals from having liver abscesses. And when we think about liver abscesses, we usually think about Fusobacterium necrophorum, but we're seeing more and more that in conjunction to some of the liver abscesses with Fuso, we're also seeing concurrent salmonella infections. So some of the things that we do with antibiotics today are not only improving animal health, but they might be there to improve food safety and decrease antibiotic resistance. More has to be learned, and I think until people decide that if antibiotic resistance is the issue and the reason that they want us to study the problems such as antibiotic usage and the impact it has on antibiotic resistance, what people have to measure is the antibiotic resistance itself. There are so many things that we can control, and there are things that we can't control. And working with your veterinarian, having that valid veterinary client-patient relationship, and talking to them about antibiotics, I'm actually super excited about the increase or the improvements that I've seen in veterinary oversight in the beef industry, and we're just going to keep moving right on forward with that. When we come back, we'll have a wrap-up of today's show.
So I'm a mixed animal practitioner, and we have to see a lot of different species, so I don't always get to see in depth on any specific thing in equine, and learning more information about the normal anatomy and what to look for if it's abnormal and what products we can use to help our animals is definitely a benefit for me, because that's not something that I see on a daily basis. And so that gives me a little more tools to put in my box and to use, and also some people and information I can call for help on that.
Just in general, enjoy CE, to be able to learn new things. Probably actually one of the best things is just being able to chat with other practitioners, whether it's on the topic of what we're actually talking about or anything else practice management wise, handling clients. So I just enjoy that time almost as much as whatever it is we're talking about.
Well, I had never even considered ultrasounding the pole and the issues they have there, and I can already think of 4 or 5 horses that I would like to definitely check out. And then he talked about some different views from the caudal aspect of the stifle that I had not thought about doing either.
A stifle area, a lot of different views, different things than what I've seen done before, and we did a lot related to the neck as well, something I've done maybe once or twice, so nice to be able to see a little bit more on that area.
Some call it a come from behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey there, folks. Welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here at DocTalk Studios in Silver Lake, Kansas, and we're very fortunate, Heather, Kelly, and I, to have this wonderful opportunity to work together. We have a great team, great staff, great friendships, and I hope that that comes through in the shows to y'all how much we care. Antibiotics, fake meat, all of this rolls into the term sustainability. And sustainability, by my definition, is keeping it at the current level or better for your industry. And when we hear people say sustainability, it used to make the hair on the back of our neck stand up, thinking that people were going to tell us, you shall do this or you shall do this, and you're going to protect the environment. And really, what the companies are trying to decide based on environmental stewardship, animal welfare, food safety and security, cost, community involvement, and natural resource utilization, what they're trying to predict is who's going to be in business in the future. And if we start to think about sustainability more of as a tool on how you can look at different items pertaining to your habitat, pertaining to animal welfare, pertaining to preventative medicine, to have a better gauge of the things that we see that project you staying in business 20, 30, 40 years from now, I think that changes my mindset and how I look at sustainability within our own operations. If we use those types of things, I think that the thing that we have are the immediate cost of doing something, which is the profit and loss, and we have the long-term cost of doing something, or the long-term cost of not doing something, which is not leaving an intact industry for our children or grandchildren. We're going to be expected, we're going to be monitored more closely in the future, and we're going to be expected to do more monitoring and auditing in the future as we produce beef. And I'm not scared of that. I encourage people to come on the farm. I want them to see what a great job we do of the veterinarians working with producers on a day in, day out basis to produce a safe, wholesome, nutritious product from animals that were treated humanely. I'm proud of what we do. And so thinking about this, I'm not going to leave my kids a whole lot of money. But some of the things that I might do that are small investments in sustainability or small investments in improving animal welfare or small investments in improving antibiotic stewardship, those small costs or small investments that I make now might be the inheritance that I leave them by leaving them an industry that's thriving, that is intact and something that everyone is putting on their plate and keeping in the center of their plate is some sort of meat product, such as beef, such as pork, such as poultry. I'm really thankful. Thanks again for all you do for us. Remember always to work with a local veterinarian. And if you want to find out more about what we do here at DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson. Thanks for watching us, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Vet Gun with Amel and new AMA Abamectin Vet Caps, the 1-2 punch against hornfly resistance from AgriLabs.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com.
DocTalk was brought to you by MERCK Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.